the time has come. You know, my controller was having some issues. And since this controller right here came out a few months ago, you know, I wanted to actually get my hands on one of these in my own house and test it out. And not only unbox it, but review it drastically for you guys. So sit back, enjoy, and watch the most honest review you're ever going to see about the brand new Microsoft Xbox One Wireless Elite Controller. What is going on, YouTube? The Assist Man. I'm coming at you guys with one of my great, stupendous product unboxing and reviews, where you know me, I give my honest opinion about everything I review. And yes, I paid my own money for this. This was not sponsored or anything. I went to Best Buy. I bought this right here. I spent $150 on it. And I bought the $20 2-year warranty, and with tax, it cost me $183. So, this shit ain't cheap. But before I break open this box, I want to let you guys know that when this controller first came out, I actually was able to play it, or play with it. One of my friends actually got a chance to, he pre-ordered the controller and got it. I went to the store thinking I could just get it, but as you know, they're all sold out pretty much everywhere. So I was lucky enough to pick one of these up today at Best Buy. And when my friend got it a few months ago when it first came out, I played with it. And I thoroughly, rather enjoyed playing with it. It was like a breath of fresh air, but I only got to play with it for about an hour. So I really didn't get to test it out in theory, like, you know, the way I wanted to, you know, wear and tear and all that stuff. But now I'm going to. So what I'm going to show you guys, what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unbox the unit. I'm not going to spend too much time unboxing it because I'm sure you guys already know what it looks like. But then I'm actually going to play with it for about, I don't know, let's say 4 hours straight. Call of Duty, 4 hours straight with this controller, and then I'm going to come back and show you guys what I think about it. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get into the unboxing of it real fast before we get into the review, because we got to open it. And what better way to open it? Some of you guys been around my channel for a long time. You know that when I break out the machete, it goes down. So let's go ahead and slice this thing up with the Jason Voorhees specialty knife without slicing myself. All right, looks like we got the seals broken. Oh, I take that back. There's another one. Another one. You know, a lot of you guys say that I look like DJ Khaled. Maybe it's the beard. That I sound like DJ Khaled. Maybe it's because I like to say another one. We the best. Bless up. The key to success is owning the Xbox Elite wireless controller. The machete served its purpose. Now, I'll finally return it until I gotta chop a couple heads off with it in the jungle. Got that thing done. All right, we are good to go. Let's go ahead and slide this top piece off. Oh, it smells just so new. It just smells so new. Comes in a beautiful little carrying case right here with this nice zipper on it. And then inside the box, it's got a little Microsoft logo. Let's see what's in the rest of the box. Comes with some kind of manual. This is the Spanish version of manual. I know one of you guys got a friend named Manuel. Then it comes with this little contraption right here. It's a box with a cable in it. Oh, and some batteries. Yeah, look at them. Put in some batteries. Are they going to Jew us with some generic brand batteries, or are they going to give us some Energizers or Duracells? And look at that. They even give you Duracell batteries. Can you believe that? Duracell batteries. They didn't even give us no off-brand shit. Hey, this cable, though, is looking lovely. It comes with, like, this green and black braided USB micro cable. So you can plug one side into your controller and plug the other side into your Xbox, so you can power it, I guess, if you don't have battery life. So, that's that. Let's go ahead and seal this box back up. Put that there for now. Put that there for now. Move this to the side. Let's go ahead and open up the case. You gotta see it first. Ow! Xbox One Elite wireless controller. There it is. You know, when you first pick this thing up from holding an actual Xbox controller, it's crazy how much heavier it is. I mean, you could just tell that the really good construction went into this controller because it's like literally like twice as heavy. So obviously you got the controller here, comes with some kind of little foam wedge for the controller, and then inside of the travel case you got the mesh up here so you can put some stuff. And it comes with the other things for the spots for the paddles, the interchangeable D-pads, thumbsticks, all that good stuff. So this is what the front of the controller looks like. You guys can see it nice. This is the top of the controller. And here's the back of the controller with the paddles that come already installed on it. Now, these thumbsticks are supposedly supposed to be easily removable. Oh, and they are. You literally just pull them right off, and they just sit back down by like a magnet. It's really weird. Let me see if I can show you guys how easy that actually is. The buttons feel a little bit more responsive. Trigger stops, all that stuff. The D-pad is nice. I mean, you could pull that D-pad right off, the circular one, and if you want, you could put on the regular, just plus sign D-pad. I'm going to keep the circular one on there. I think it actually looks cooler. Oh man, that just snapped on there beautifully with the magnet. These paddles, man, they feel kind of weird, but I'm loving the texture on the controller. It just feels so much more smoother and easier to grip. Especially on the back. It has like this rubberite grip stuff on the back right here. Feels lovely. Lovely. And then the front of it is like a nice matte, soft finish. Top is all aluminum. Everything feels legit, man. The buttons look so sick being all black like that. I'm rather loving it. I'll say it again, man. The controller itself looks amazing. Feels amazing. But is it worth $150? Well, I'm going to go ahead and test it out for hours now, and I'm going to let you guys know the answer to that question as soon as I come back. As you can see here, once you actually connect the controller to your Xbox One console, you're going to have to actually download this Xbox Apps and Accessories app from the App Store. Once you download that, man, it's going to ask you to actually give your controller a name. So I had to name my controller the Assist Man, because that's who I am, and my controller got to match me. But you could do so much stuff in here. This is for configuration number 1 or configuration number 2. You can actually map out your buttons, so you can actually have the paddles on the back of the controller be specific buttons. You can select the left upper pad to be your A button, the left upper pad to be your right trigger. Anything you want any one of the paddles to be, it could be any one of the buttons on the front or the top of the controller. You can even go in and adjust the sensitivity of the left and the right thumbsticks. You can select them from default, delayed, aggressive, instant, smooth, all that good stuff. You just pretty much got to find the one that's actually going to work for you and your play style and the way that you actually press on and adjust your thumbsticks. You can also adjust the triggers, and this is what I was talking about. One of the main coolest things about this controller is it has adjustable trigger sensitivity. Not only do you get the trigger stops, you can adjust the trigger sensitivity, move the sliders to adjust to your dead zones, then pull the trigger to test it. So you have less of a dead zone when you're actually firing that trigger, man. You can get it to be so much more accurate than your standard Xbox One regular controller. You can adjust even more things inside of this. You can adjust the vibration. You could turn down or up the vibration of the left trigger, the right main side of the controller, or the left main side of the controller. Some people hate the vibration in controllers and opt to actually remove the vibrators themselves. With this controller, you don't even have to open up your controller to actually remove the vibrators. You could do it yourself, or you could just set them all the way up as high as they go, or all the way as low as they go. You can even adjust the Xbox home button brightness on the controller. If you don't like it as white and bright as it normally is, you could adjust it down to barely nothing. So those were a lot of different things and a lot of different things you can do in the menu once you first go ahead and activate the Xbox One Elite controller. We're going to do a weight test real fast so I can show you the difference of how much the Xbox Elite controller weighs opposed to the regular Xbox One controller. So here I have a scale that's set at 0.0 right now. So here I have a standard Xbox One controller. We're going to go ahead and put that on the scale. It's there. This controller weighs 9.7 ounces. Here I have the Xbox One Elite controller with the 4 paddles attached to it, and the very smaller type actual thumbsticks, which it's not zooming in on them, but you can see that. Scale is at 0. Put that on there. And you get 12.6 ounces. So 12.6 ounces for the Xbox One Elite controller, and 9.7 ounces for the Xbox One regular controller. Alright, so I'm back. I played with the controller. I played with it, honestly, for about 5 hours continuously. I played a mixture of Call of Duty Black Ops 3, I played some Sacred 3, and I played like another Xbox 360 backwards compatible game that I have on my Xbox One. But I will say I spent about 80% of my time playing Call of Duty Black Ops 3 with the Xbox One Elite controller. Now I'm going to give you my opinion review about it. First, we're going to go into the pros and then the cons. The pros of this controller. This is probably the most ergonomically, most comfortable designed controller I have ever held in my hands. It feels like it's $150. I mean, it is $150, so it should feel, if it's an expensive controller, you would guess that you're paying for quality. So when you hold it, you should be feeling quality. You should. And that's what I feel when I hold this controller. The front fascia of this controller is just beautiful. It's so smooth with its matte finish. I noticed that I get much better grip on the front. My hands do not sweat nowhere near as much as they did using a standard Xbox One controller. And on the back of the controller, with the rubber grips on the back of the controller itself, it is just so much more comfortable. I have so much more grip, and my hands don't sweat nowhere near as much as well. Something I really, really love about this controller are the trigger stops. The trigger stops, especially for first-person shooter games like Call of Duty, which is primarily what I play, are amazing. And you enable or disable the trigger stops on the back of the controller right here where these little green things are at that I'm pointing to. The trigger stops, right now, you can see the trigger stop is not on, so you have to actually press down the trigger all the way. Once you enable the trigger stop, I put it on just there. Hopefully you can see it doesn't have to go down that much. So what you're able to do is you're able to actually fire your gun faster and more accurately, making it more sensitive. On top of that, you can adjust the trigger sensitivity of the trigger. I showed you guys right before this how I went through the menu of all the stuff that you can do. You can actually go through on the controller and adjust the sensitivity of the trigger. So by the time you pull down your finger on the trigger itself, you can have it to where you barely touch it. Barely touch it. It's like hairline that your gun will stop shooting. So you don't have to waste that other 2-3 tenths of a second actually pulling the trigger all the way down to actually engage the gun. That is an amazing feature about this controller. You can customize the sensitivity of the actual thumbsticks themselves. And not only can you customize the sensitivity of the thumbsticks, you can actually just pop off the thumbstick and put a different one on. I found it more comfortable actually just to play with the standard normal ones. I tried all 3 of them. I found it more comfortable to play with that. The aluminum metal on the triggers themselves, the D-pad, everything. I mean, even the thumbsticks themselves are way more responsive. I mean, they are just like perfect on this controller. You would almost think why Microsoft could not put this kind of quality in the design of this controller and make you have to spend $150 on this controller. Why couldn't they do that with this? I don't know. But all I do know is that this controller is an amazing piece of gaming equipment. It feels amazing. The trigger stops are amazing. The adjustable trigger stops, adjustable trigger sensitivity, the adjustable sensitivity of the thumbsticks. You can even adjust the brightness of the Xbox logo button. But the paddles, you can map out the paddles to put whatever you want, whatever button you want on them, or you can simply just take that paddle and this paddle off and play with these 2 paddles. Or you could take all 4 of the paddles off and then play with no paddles. And you can actually configure to have 2 profiles with this button right here. So when you map out your buttons, you can actually have selection 1 or selection 2. Pros of this controller. Looks good, plays good, all that good stuff. I just said it. Now we're going to go into the cons of the controller. Well, the cons of the controller, in my opinion, was, first of all, these paddles, I hate them. I hate the paddles. Now, for some of you guys that probably have used a scuff gaming controller and you're used to paddles and stuff like that, maybe these things are amazing for you and they work out very, very well for you. Me personally, when I first started using this controller and I had all 4 of these paddles installed like they are now, when I was like sitting there playing, my fingers just accidentally kept hitting them. While I'm holding the controller like I am now, my finger would just kept accidentally hitting these buttons. They're kind of just like in the way. No matter what you do, they're just in the way. So at first I was like, okay, these 2 paddles down here were the main culprits. So what I did was I just took that paddle off, and I took that paddle off, and I just used these 2 buttons. Because now I just got these 2 fingers, I can still hold the controller with this 2, and then just use these ones to actually use those paddles. But no matter what I did, I just didn't like the paddles. When I was actually playing, shooting, trying to aim, I kept accidentally hitting the paddles. And so then I programmed the paddles just to jump. So when I was playing Black Ops 3, when I hit this button, I would jump in the air while firing with this button. I couldn't do it. Like I said, for some of you guys that are actually used to using paddles on gaming controllers, you're probably already used to them. Me, on the other hand, I tried for 5 hours straight. All I did was go and play terrible because I accidentally kept hitting these friggin' buttons. No matter what I programmed them to, it just didn't work out for me. I kept accidentally hitting them and accidentally doing something I did not want to do. So the paddles, I hate. Some of you guys might like them, but I find this controller a lot better if you simply just take off all 4 of the paddles and then just play with it as a normal controller with trigger stops that you could still engage and disengage with the buttons right here, trigger sensitivity, thumbstick sensitivity, and a beautiful, beautiful new omnidirectional D-pad. You're paying $150 for a controller that is just a controller with trigger stops. You see, the main selling point of this controller is supposed to be like, the paddles. That's really the main selling point it's one of the main selling points about this controller. But me on the other hand, I just could not play with them. I just couldn't get used to these paddles at all. I really, really dislike playing with these paddles. When I took the paddles off, it was like everything was back to normal. It was a great controller. It feels great in your hand. But the cons to me are the paddles. I do not like the paddles. Maybe it's not for like an old school dude like me. Maybe it's for some of you younger generation kids. You can get used to this stuff. I personally can't do it, man. I feel like an octopus. I just got too many fingers on too many buttons. I just can't get used to it. I like simplicity. I like simple. I like to pull a trigger, shoot the gun, jump, reload, the whole nine. I can't be using this finger. It feels like I'm typing on a computer or something. I can't do all that. I like it simple, man. It's too advanced for me. But pros aside, cons aside, the only major cons I have about this controller is I don't like the paddles. I can't get used to them. I find them more of a nuisance and accidentally hitting them than them helping me at all. And the main con is the price. $150 is a ton of money to spend on a controller. You have to look at it from this perspective. An Xbox One console is $299. An Xbox One standard controller is $60. And an Xbox One console comes with an Xbox One standard controller. That means theoretically, you would be paying $60 for a standard Xbox One controller and then $240 for an Xbox One console. Since the console that comes with the controller is $300, but you're getting a $60 console inside that, a $60 controller inside of that box. So basically, you're paying $240 for the console, if you look at it from that mathematical equation. This controller cost $150. Not only does it cost $150, you have to pay tax on that. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not spending $150 on a controller unless I buy an extended warranty on it. So I bought this controller from Best Buy. I bought the 2-year extended warranty on it, and that cost an additional $20. And if anything goes wrong with the controller, I can just bring it back into any Best Buy in the nation, and they'll give me a brand new one on the spot for 2 years. So in my opinion, that's well worth it. But I have the receipt sitting right here in front of me. I paid $182.13 for this controller. I don't know if you guys could see that. I paid $182.13 for this controller. $149.99 for the controller, $19.99 for the 2-year replacement plan, and $12.15 for tax. This controller cost me $182 and change. But after you don't use the paddles that I don't like, you're pretty much left with a $60 controller that just feels and looks better. Why can't you just take a $60 regular Microsoft controller, Spend 20 bucks customizing it, get your own trigger stops, install them inside of this controller, get your own new, slip-free surface, and just adhese it to this controller. You can do all that for like 20, 25 bucks. So what is the purpose then of owning this controller? I don't know. So if I had to give my honest opinion on this controller, is this controller amazing? Absolutely. Is this controller awesome? Absolutely. Is this controller worth $150? Absolutely not. I personally would not recommend this controller as a buy to people, just due to the fact that you're spending $150 on a controller on a $240 console. That doesn't make sense. Plus, a lot of people especially a lot of kids, you guys are just going to try to buy this controller just so it gives you an advantage and making you better in playing Call of Duty. Why are you wasting money on something that you're not getting paid for? Do you get paid from Call of Duty? Are you making money off playing Call of Duty? If you are, then hey, go out and spend your money on this controller. Maybe it'll make you a better player. But if you're not, like 99% of gamers that play Call of Duty are not making money from Call of Duty, then why go out and spend money on this controller if you're not getting paid for it? I like the controller a lot. I just personally don't think that it's worth $150. This controller would be great, if it had around a $79 to a $99 price point. Since this controller is $60, if this controller was $80, it'd be an easy buy. Honestly, if this controller was $99, I still would say it's well worth it, because then it's just $40 more, and for $40 more, you're getting a lot of features. But for more than double the price, for 2.5 times more money than this controller, I don't see the value in this controller. I really, really do not. I love this controller. I think it's an amazing piece of electronic equipment. I think it's a step in the right direction, a step in the future for Microsoft. But it's not worth $150. I'm sorry, it's not. $150 for a controller, in my opinion, is just way too much money. That's my personal opinion about the Xbox One Elite controller. Now, I will give you guys a secondary opinion as well. Some of you guys might know my friend Big Andy. He's been a YouTuber for a long time. I talk about him in a lot of my videos. He's even have been in my videos. He actually went out and bought this controller himself about 2 weeks ago. He was all happy about it, man. He couldn't wait to use it. He got it home. He started playing with it. He loved it. But after about 6 hours, his left thumbstick started being unresponsive and it wouldn't move. So, after 6 hours of gameplay, his $150 controller pretty much broke on him. Also, another thing I don't like about this controller, which I pointed out, was the weight. This Xbox One controller weighs almost 30% more than the original Xbox One controller. 30% heavier than the original one. I don't know about you guys, but I like a lightweight controller. I like to have something that's light, easy to move around, feels like I'm not using it, because I game a lot. Now, my man Big Andy, he said this himself, and I'm going to quote him, because he wanted me to put this in the video. After he bought his controller for $150 and he had issues with it, he just didn't see the worth in it as well. He returned it. And he said, quote Big Andy, "It's worth $80 to $100. It's heavy as fuck. It's the best texture ever put on a controller." So like him, he agrees with me. I think that this is the best texture I've ever felt on a controller in my life. But it's heavy as fuck, and it should be like an $80 to $100 controller, not a $150 controller. So just like Big Andy went and he actually went and returned his controller, unfortunately, like I said, I don't see the value in this controller. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to return this controller as well. It's just not worth $150 to me. If this was an $80 controller, a $99 controller, I'd keep it. But for $150, you could damn near buy 3 of these controllers. And I don't like the paddles. So really, what I bought was a $150 controller that I'm not using the paddles. All I pretty much bought it for was how good it felt and how nice it looks. It looks amazing. But it's not $150 amazing. So anyway, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I try to come at you guys as unbiased and as honest as I possibly could about this controller. Me and this controller have a love-hate relationship. I love this controller. It's like how Big Andy said, it's the nicest texture, it's the most comfortable, most awesome-looking controller I've ever held in my hands. And I don't think anybody's going to be able to top an aesthetically pleasing controller like this for a long time. But when you factor in the cost of, I spent $182 on this controller, I could have bought 3 of these controllers brand new for the same price. Especially since I'm not using 50% of the features of this controller. So, to me, it ain't worth it. Maybe to you guys, it will be worth it, but let me know in the comment section. Do you own this controller? How do you feel about it? What do you think about it? Do you actually use the paddles, or are the paddles a nuisance to you? Do you love the buttons, how you can make some higher and make some concave and domed? You see, I just like the normal buttons. But anyway, if you own this controller, let me know how you feel about this controller. Do you think it's worth as much money as it cost, opposed to the price of the console itself? Because remember, if you look at the console, that's $300. That comes with the $60 controller. Theoretically, the console is $240. Is it cool that you spend $150 on just a controller to give you an edge in gaming? I don't know. I think I personally am good enough where I don't need a controller like this. I've been gaming on a regular controller my entire life. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. Do you own it? How do you feel about it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? All that good stuff. And if you were thinking about getting one, hopefully I helped you a little bit in this controller. This is an opinion. Not everybody's going to agree, and not everybody is going to disagree, but I gave you mine, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did. As much as I'd love to keep this controller and own this controller, for $150, I just can't. So anyway, YouTube, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up like button. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends about me, man, so they can view my videos. They can subscribe to my channel, and then you can help a brother out. So anyway, YouTube, this is the Assist Man, and like always, I am out.